Let's talk about the stomach. So your stomach is a little bit different than a lot of other animals out there. Your stomach has two main purposes. One stomach, two main purposes. One purpose is storage. You can store food in your stomach up to 4 hours. So when you eat breakfast in the morning, if you eat a good, healthy breakfast, it can stay in your stomach slowly releasing for over 4 hours. But if you eat a really sugary and not so good breakfast, it'll start releasing and be gone in like a half hour to an hour. So the first goal of the stomach is to store food so you don't have to be eating constantly, all the time. If you eat things that are high in fiber, things that are nutritious like oatmeal, it'll stay in your stomach for a long time. If you drink something like a soda, a can of soda, drink it right away, it'll be through your stomach in a matter of minutes. The more liquidy and the more broken down already or processed already, the faster it gets out of your stomach. So when you eat food that's been highly processed, it goes through your stomach really quick. Things like juices, milks, whatever, go through your stomach really quick. Things that are thick take a while to process. So if you eat a thick oatmeal that has a lot of fiber in it, like I said, it stays in there for a long time. So a really healthy breakfast is actually something like an egg and some oatmeal, because the egg will break down quickly and release proteins, and the oatmeal has the fibers that slow everything down and give you sugars released all the way until lunchtime when you're hungry again. That's a good meal. Your stomach has the same 4 layers as the rest of your GI tract. You have the one that touches the lumen, the hollow tube in the center, called the mucosa. You have the submucosa. You have the muscularis, and then the serosa, or the adventitia, around the outside. The second major thing your stomach does is it uses these layers to secrete and squeeze and process your food. Your mucosa releases enzymes that are very acidic to break down things like protein. Protein is really the major thing broken down in your stomach. So not a lot of carbohydrates or sugars. That was in the mouth, and we'll break them down again later, but proteins in the stomach. Another reason that your stomach releases a lot of acidic content is to kill bacteria. Not all bacteria gets killed. In fact, if you remember the first day of the microscopy, we talked about how there was a scientist, or actually a doctor, scientist. Anybody that's curious is really a scientist. But he was curious because he noticed that people that had certain bacteria exposure were getting stomach ulcers and getting sick, and potentially getting stomach cancers, and had really bad breath. And he found that it was a bacteria that was causing all of this. So bacteria can survive if they can handle the environments. And it's interesting to look it up. It's called Helicobacter pylori. That can survive in the stomach. And it shows you how, if you Google it, it'll show you how they survive, which is really interesting. All right, so the stomach. Let's go ahead and pull out your slide. It's slide number 15. All right, I'm going to wipe it off. Nice and clean. All right. I'm assuming your stage is set down. So I'm putting my stage down. Which objective are we using? The red one. Exactly. Centering our specimen. Let's take a peek at that. Looks like I've got mine already in the pink. Okay. Course adjustment knob. Bring it up. Nice. And then we can see up here at the top, up in here, there we have the lumen, so the folded area of the stomach. Yep, look at that, all the way along. So the stomach on the inside is pretty crinkly. And it's just like when we talked about with the esophagus. Your stomach can shrink down real small. And then as it stretches out, it opens up, shrinks back down. Watch my fingers. Open, and then my fingers. These folds are called rugae in the stomach. And you see the individual folds to open up. It's not for absorption. So when we get to the small intestine, we'll talk about that. It stretches for absorption. The rugae in here stretch just to hold a lot of food. So the next time you go to the Chinese buffet and you just feed, your rugae are going, oh, and they're really smooth. They're unfolding. Let's take a peek at the stomach in your diagram. Whoops, I didn't mean to highlight it. But, yep, there's your stomach. When you open it up, you can see all these little tiny folds on the inside. They're called rugae. If we look really close, we're actually going to see the surface here We're going to see things called gastric pits. Gastric is referring to stomach. Pits means there are pits in the wall of your stomach. They release things like enzymes to help break down proteins that I mentioned. Hydrochloric acid, a really, really strong acid, like super serious strong. When we're talking acidity, it's a 2 to a 3 on a pH scale. The closer you are to 1, the stronger the acid, and we're talking a 2 to 3. Your blood is a 7.4. So when we go from 2 to 7.4, we're actually talking about hundreds of thousands of times more acidic. Not just that little 5 different points, but we're actually talking logarithmic, so lots and lots of multiplications of that. Let's take a peek at the layers of the stomach. There we go. We can see there's the epithelial layer, the mucosa. Awesome. We can kind of take a peek at all the layers. Oh no. Yeah. Right in here. So if we look closely, here you have your epithelium, because the lumen's right above it. So here's your mucosal layer. Here's your submucosal layer. There's a blood vessel right there. Then you have the muscle layer kind of peeling away, but you have the muscularis layer that's coming at you, and you have a muscularis layer that's going sideways. You actually have a third one in the stomach. Let's see if we can see a section that has a really good view of it. We're going to have to look closer. So let's go ahead and increase our magnification. Boom. Here we go. There's our epithelial layer, mucosa. There's the submucosa in the center. And we should see all 3 layers of muscle. Oh, there we go. There's one layer right here. Here's a second layer right here. And going down just a little bit. There we go. And I lost it. Nuts.